Project management structures. What is the right project management structure? Organizational culture and implications of organizational culture for organizing projects. This slide shows the study outline for this lesson. There are about 9 topics, including exercises and case studies at the end. So first thing about project management structures. A project management system provides a framework for launching and implementing project activities within a parent organization. A good system appropriately balances the needs of both the parent organization and the project by defining the interface between the project and the parent organization in terms of authority, allocation of resources, and eventual integration of the project outcomes into mainstream operations. Many business organizations have struggled with creating a system for organizing projects while managing ongoing operations. One of the major reasons for this struggle is that projects contradict fundamental design principles associated with traditional organizations. Projects are unique, one-time efforts with a distinct beginning and end. Most organizations are designed to efficiently manage ongoing activities. Efficiency is achieved primarily by breaking down complex tasks into simplified, repetitive processes as symbolized by assembly line production method. Another one is the multidisciplinary and cross-functional nature of project creates authority and responsibility dilemmas. Projects are not routine and therefore can be like ducks out of water in these work environments. With this in mind, we may start the discussion of project management structures. One approach to organizing projects is to simply manage the existing functional hierarchy of the organization. Once management decides to implement a project, the different segments of the projects are delegated to the respective functional units, with each unit responsible for completing its segment of the project. Coordination is maintained through normal management channels. This tends to be used when the interests of one functional area dominates the project or one functional area has a dominant interest in the project's success. This figure shows how functional organizations work. For example, a tool manufacturing firm decides to differentiate its product line by offering a series of tools specifically designed for left-handed individuals. Top management decides to implement the project, and different segments of the project are distributed to appropriate areas. The industrial design department is responsible for modifying the specification to conform to the need of left-handed users. The production department is responsible for devising the means for producing new tools according to these new design specifications. The marketing department is responsible for gauging demand and price, as well as identifying distribution channels. The overall project will be managed within the normal hierarchy, with the project being part of the working agenda of top management. The functional organization is also commonly used when given the nature of the project. One functional area plays a dominant role in completing the project or has a dominant interest in the success of the project. Under this circumstance, a high-ranking manager in that area is given the responsibility of coordinating the project. For example, the transfer of equipment and personnel to a new office would be managed by a top-ranking manager in the firm's facilities department. Likewise, a project involving the upgrading of the management information system would be managed by the information system department. In both cases, most of the project work would be done within the specified departments, and coordination with other departments would occur through normal channels. There are advantages and disadvantages for using the existing functional organization to manage the projects. The major advantages are, for example, no structural change. or flexibility, easy post-project transitions. For example, projects are completely within the basic functional structure of the parent organization. Therefore, there is no radical alteration in the design operation of the parent organization, such as the tool development case we mentioned earlier. Also, there are a lot of in-depth expertise in using this structure. If the scope of the project is narrow and the proper functional unit is assigned a primary responsibility, then in-depth expertise can be brought to bear on the most crucial aspects of the project. However, there are also, like many other organizational projects, some disadvantages of using this structure. This could include, for example, lack of focus. This can happen normally when it generally takes longer to complete projects through the functional structure. This is in part attributable to slow response time. Project information and decision-making have to be circulated through normal management circumstances. And also there are possibilities of poor integration, slow reaction, and lack of ownership. The motivation of people assigned to the project can be quite weak comparing to work in normal structure. The project may be seen as an additional burden to some of the people involved in it. Lack of ownership and accountability discourages strong commitment to project-related activities. At the other end of the structural spectrum is the creation of dedicated project teams. These teams operate as separate units from the rest of the parent organization. Usually, a full-time project manager is designated to pull together a core group of specialists who work full-time on the project. The project manager recruits necessary personnel from both within and outside the parent company. The subsequent team is physically separated from the parent organization and given marching orders to complete the project. This figure shows how project team works. The interface between the parent organization and the project teams vary significantly. In some cases, the parent organization maintains a tight rein through financial controls. In other cases, firms grant the project manager maximum freedom to get the project done as he sees fit. Lockheed Martin has used this approach to develop next-generation jet airplanes. See the next case study. So in project management folklore, skunk work is code for small, dedicated team assigned to a breakthrough project. The first skunk works was created more than a half-century ago by Larson L. Kelly Johnson at Lockheed Aerospace Corporation. Kelly's project had two objectives: to create a jet fighter, the shooting star, and to do it as fast as possible. Kelly and a small band of engineering Mavics operated as a dedicated team, unencumbered by red tape and the bureaucratic delays of the normal R&D process. The name was coined by team member Ivan Cover after the moonshine brewery dip in the forest in the popular cartoon strip, The Arbonner. The homemade whiskey was euphemistically called Kickapoo Joy Juice. The project was a spectacular success. In just 43 days, Johnson's team of 23 engineers and teams of support personnel put together the first American fighter to fly at more than 500 miles per hour. Lockheed has continued to use skunk works to develop a string of high-speed jets, including the F-117 stealth fighter. As in the case of a functional organization, the dedicated project team approach has strengths and weaknesses as well. The following are some of the strengths. For example, simple, fast, cohesive, cross-functional integration. For example, other than taking away resources in the form of a specialist assigned to the project, the functional organization remains interact with the project team operating independently. and they can respond quite quickly, and they tend to be quicker under the arrangement because cohesive and high level of motivation can emerge from a project team. Participants share a common goal and personnel responsibility toward the project and the team. Cross-functional integration is possible because specialists from different areas work closely together, maybe day in and day out, become committed to optimizing the project, know their respective areas of expertise. However, there are also weaknesses in this form. For example, it can be quite expensive. Not only have you created a new management position, but resources are also assigned on a full-time basis. This can result in duplications of efforts across projects and a loss of economies of scale. It can also create internal strife and also limited technological expertise. And finally, difficult post-project transition as well. For example, when assigning full-time personnel to a project creates the dilemma of what to do with personnel after the project is completed. If other project work is not available, then the transition back to their original functional departments may be difficult because of their prolonged absence and the need to catch up with recent developments in their own functional areas. In the case of firms where projects are the dominant form of business, such as a construction firm or a consulting firm, the entire organization is designed to support project teams. Instead of one or two special projects, the organization may consist of several quasi-independent teams working on various specific projects. The main responsibility of traditional functional departments is to assist and support these project teams. For example, the marketing department is directed at generating new business that will lead to more projects, while the human resource department is responsible for managing a variety of personnel issues, as well as recruiting and training new employees. One of the biggest management innovations to emerge in the past 30 years has been the matrix organization. Matrix management is a hybrid organizational form in which a horizontal project management structure is overlaid on the normal functional hierarchy. In a matrix system, there are usually two chains of command, one along functional lines and the other along project lines. Instead of delegating segments of a project to different units or creating an autonomous team, project participants report simultaneously to both functional and project managers. Companies apply this matrix arrangement in a variety of different ways. Some organizations set up a temporary matrix system to deal with specific projects, while matrix may be a permanent feature in other organizations. Let us look at its general application and then proceed to a more detailed discussion of finer points. Consider this figure. There are three projects currently underway, A, B, and C. All three projects managers report to a director of project management, who supervises all projects. Each project has an administrative assistant, although the one for project C is only part-time. The matrix structure is designed to optimally utilize resources by having individuals work on multiple projects, as well as being capable of performing normal functional duties. At the same time, the matrix approach attempts to achieve greater integration by creating and legitimizing the authority of a project manager. In theory, the matrix approach provides a dual focus between functional technical expertise and project requirements that is missing in either the project team or functional approach to project management. This focus can most easily be seen in the relative input of functional managers and project managers of key project decisions. In practice, there are really different kinds of matrix systems, depending on the relative authority of the project and the functional managers. Here is a thumbnail sketch of the three kinds of matrices. Weak matrix. This form is very similar to a functional approach with the exception that there is a formally designated project manager responsible for coordinating project activities. Functional managers are responsible for managing their segment of the project. Balanced matrix. This is the classic matrix in which the project manager is responsible for defining what needs to be accomplished, while the functional managers are concerned with how it will be accomplished. More specifically, the project manager establishes the overall plan for completing the project, integrates the contribution of the different disciplines, sets schedules, and monitors progress. Finally, strong matrix. This form attempts to create the feel of a project team within a matrix environment. The project manager controls most aspects of the project, including scope, trade-offs, and assignment of functional personnel. Matrix management, both in general and in its specific forms, has unique strengths and weaknesses. The advantages and disadvantages of matrix organization in general are noted below, while only briefly highlighting specific concerning different forms. Efficiency. Resource can be shared across multiple projects as well as within functional divisions, therefore making resources more efficiently distributed. And this reduces duplications required in a projectized structure. Strong project focus. This is provided by having a formally designated project manager who is responsible, accountable for coordinating and integrating different elements. This helps sustain a holistic approach to problem solving that is often missing in the functional organization. Easier post-project transition as well some kind of flexibility. Matrix arrangements provide for flexible utilization of resources and expertise within the firm. In some cases, functional units may provide individuals who are managed by the project manager. In other cases, the contributions are monitored by the functional manager. The disadvantages are dysfunctional conflict, infighting. Sometimes can be quite stressful to work in matrix structure and slow reactions. When the three variant forms of the matrix approach are considered, we can see that advantages and disadvantages are not necessarily true for all three forms of matrix. The strong matrix is likely to enhance project integration, diminish internal power struggles, and ultimately improve control of the project activities and costs. On the downside, the technical quality may suffer because functional areas have less control over their contributions. The weak matrix is likely to improve technical quality as well as provide a better system for managing conflict across projects because the functional manager assigns personnel to different projects. The problem is that functional control is often maintained at the expense of poor project integration. The balance matrix can achieve better balance between technical and project requirements, but it is a very delicate system to manage and is more likely to succumb to many of the problems associated with the matrix approach. There is growing empirical evidence that project success is directly linked to the amount of autonomy and the authority project managers have over their projects. However, most of this research is based on what is best for managing specific projects. It is important to remember what was stated in the beginning of this lesson, that the best system balances the need of the project with those of the parent organization. So what project structure should an organization use? This is a complicated question with no precise answer. A number of issues need to be considered at both the organizational and project level. This could include questions like how important is the project to the firm's success? What percentage of core work involves project? What levels of resources, including human, physical, time resources, are available? At the organizational level, the first question that needs to be asked is how important is project to the overall success of the company. A second question regarding resource availability. For example, organizations that cannot afford to tie up critical personnel on individual projects, a matrix system would appear to be appropriate. An alternative would be to create a dedicated team but outsource project when resources are very limited or not available internally. At the project level, the question is how much autonomy the project needs in order to be successfully completed. Hobbes and Bernard identify 7 factors that should be considered can influence the choice of the project management structure. These include size of project, strategic importance, novelty and need for innovation, need for integration, environmental complexity, budget and time constraints, stability and resource requirements. Now we move into the discussion about organizational culture. Organizational culture refers to a system of shared norms and beliefs, values and assumptions which binds people together, thereby creating shared objectives and meanings. This system is manifested by customers and stories and habits that exemplify the values and belief of the business. For example, egalitarianism may be expressed in the informal dress worn at high-tech firms. Conversely, mandated uniforms at a department store reinforce respect for the hierarchy. Culture reflects the personality of the organization and, similar to an individual's personality, can enable us to predict attitudes and behaviors of organizational members. Culture is also one of the defining aspects of one organization that set it apart from other organizations, even in the same industry. Research suggests that there are 10 primary characteristics which, in aggregate, capture the essence of an organization's culture. These include member identity, team emphasis, the left would be more individual, the right would more toward group. 3. Management focus. 4. Unit integration. 5. Control between loose and tight. 6. Risk tolerance. 7. Reward criteria. 8. Conflict tolerance. 9. Means-ends orientation. And finally, 10. Open system focus between internal and external continuum. An example is software development team at Microsoft. Microsoft Corporation is the leading computer software company in the world. Microsoft's success stems in part from a strong corporate culture that supports teams of software developers to create and refine new products. No matter how big the project, even a complex one such as the development of the successful Windows 2000 operating system, the project is broken down into small parts that can be handled by teams of about 12 developers. The segment of the project each team is further subdivided so that each developer is assigned a specific part of the project to work on. Developers with greater experience are given more responsibilities than new members of the team, but the entire team knows that project success depends on the sum of the individual inputs. Team members provide considerable support for each other. It is not uncommon to see 2 team members hunched over a computer screen trying to solve a problem. Team members can also be stern critics if a team member fails to perform at an acceptable level. Deciphering an organizational culture is a highly interpretive, subjective process that requires assessment of both current and past history. The student of culture cannot simply rely on what people report about their culture. The physical environment in which people work, as well as how people act and respond to different events that occur, must be examined. Stories and folklore surround the company are good sense to exemplify what the organizational culture could be. This figure contains a worksheet for diagnosing the culture of an organization. Although by no means exhaustive, the checklist often yields clues about the norm, customer value, and belief system of an organization. It is important to pay close attention to the basis for promotions and rewards. What do people see as the keys to getting ahead within the organization? What contributes to downfalls? These last two questions can yield important insights into the quality and behavior which the organization owners, as well as the cultural taboos and behavioral landmines that can derail a career. Project managers have to be able to operate in several potentially diverse organizational cultures. First, they have to interact with the culture of their parent organization, as well as the subculture of various departments. Secondly, they have to interact with the project client or customer organizations. Finally, they have to interact in varying degree with a host of other organizations connected to the projects, such as vendors, suppliers, or subcontractors. So many of these organizations are likely to have very different cultures. Project managers have to be able to read, speak, and interpret the culture they work in to develop strategies, plans, and responses that are likely to be understood and accepted by different cultures. One organization that appears to fit this ideal profile is 3M. 3M has received acclaim for creating an entrepreneurial culture within a large corporate framework. The essence of this culture is captured in this figure that have been chanted often by 3M employees throughout its history, namely, encourage experimental doodling, hire good people and leave them alone. If you put fences around people, you get sheep. Give people the room they need. Freedom and autonomy to experiment are reflected in the 15% rule, which encourages technical people to spend up to 50% of their time on projects of their own choosing and initiatives. This fertile culture has contributed to 3M's branching out into more than 60,000 products and 35 separated business units. This is another chart that represents the organizational structure of product development projects at Orion. Here is a breakdown of the structure. Project manager at top level. The project manager holds the highest level of authority in the project development hierarchy. They are responsible for overseeing the entire project, ensuring all elements development come together efficiently. Below it is team leaders. Team leaders report to both system engineers and manage specialized teams focused on specific tasks within the broader project. Each team leader is likely in charge of a different part of the project. The structure is hierarchical, with a project manager overseeing the project. They're both deputy level management and two system engineers specializing in the technical aspect. The team leaders work under the engineers and manage teams responsible for executing the project work on a day-to-day basis. This chart emphasizes a structured and specialized approach to manage complex product development within a clear division of roles and responsibilities. This is another figure that represents the traditional master plan of Orion for product development. This normally take 4 to 7 years and 1 to 4 years time frame. A breakdown of activities and phrases can see at the first is design reviews. This phrase include the key design review checkpoints and to ensure that product design is progressing as planned. This stage has shown SDR system design review, PDR preliminary design review, CDR critical design review, TRR test readiness review. During design and development stage, the product undergone laboratory tests to validate the product's functionality and performance under controlled conditions. There is also environmental test to assess the product's performance under varying environmental conditions. This traditional master plan showcases a linear product development process that spans quite a few years, 4 to 7 years for design testing, and followed by 1 to 4 years for production, delivery, and training. This figure illustrates how organizations maintain and reinforce their culture through various methods. It demonstrates the flow of activities and strategies used to sustain the existing organizational culture. The key elements are formal statement of principles. This refers to the company's mission, vision, and core values that implicitly define what the organization stands for. Top management behavior. Leaders set the tone for the organization through their actions and decisions. And then the next one, reactions to organizational crisis. This is another key aspect shaping the organizational culture. How the organization responds during a crisis reflects belief and core values, and also reinforce the cultural norms. Finally, allocation of rewards and status. This is another key way to recognize and promote and strengthen the organizational culture within. Some of the rituals, stories, symbols, colors, and so on are repeatedly told within the organization and spreaded across the board, so reinforcing the symbolic gestures and help to perpetuate the culture that created within the organization. That's all for our today's study. In summary, there are powerful environmental forces contributing to the rapid expansion of project management approaches to business problems and opportunities. A project is defined as a non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, resources, and performance specifications designed to meet customers' needs. One of the distinguishing characteristics of project management is that it has both a beginning and an end, and typically consists of 4 phases: defining, planning, executing, and closing. Effective project management begins with selecting and prioritizing projects that support the firm's mission and strategy. Successful implementation requires both technical and social skills. Project managers have to plan and budget projects as well as orchestrate the contributions of others. This slide shows the key terms of this lesson, including different types of metrics, organizational culture, and some of the technical terms. There are also review questions that are listed in this slide that can help students to reflect and consolidate their understanding and knowledge attainment. This is a class activity suggestion using the cultural dimensions listed in this chart to assess the college or university they're in. Instead of employees, consider students or teachers, and instead of departments, using faculties. Or in small group, students can work on the 10 dimensions of culture and answer some of these questions. There is also a suggestion of task 2. Students can work as analysts in imagined department of marketing for Springfield International Company, and using weak matrix idea to develop and assess the organizational structure of this business, and also contributing to a discussion and reflection on some of the questions here. I also attached the link to a quiz for this chapter that students can work in class or as a homework. Students can do the core text reading, which is the chapter 3. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy this lesson and looking forward to seeing you soon in the future. And don't forget to subscribe to be updated of latest lessons and information.